Howdy, y'all. This is Mykel Hawke, Green Beret combat veteran and TV personality. You're listening to The Statement Show with Zach and Terry, so get ready to make a statement.
From the Night Shift Crew Studios in the DC metro area, this is The Statement Show. The lights are on.
I'm Jim Harold from the Paranormal Podcast, but there's nothing to be afraid of because you're listening to The Statement Show with Zach and Terry.
Hey guys, it's Ivonica Dabber of Macabre Theater, and you're listening to Terry and Zach on The Statement Show.
Hey, this is your little hero, Kurt Angle, and you're listening to The Statement Show with Zach and Terry. Oh, it's true. It's damn true.
Hi, this is Lillian Garcia from the WWE, and you're listening to The Statement Show with Zach and Terry.
Welcome back to another edition of The Statement Show. I'm Terry James.
And I'm Zach Chahy, and you're listening to the podcast that fits in no category. Tonight, we have Mykel Hawke, military officer, combat veteran, survival teacher, as well as TV personality, and the envy of every zombie apocalypse dream team. Welcome, Mykel, to The Statement Show.
Right on, man. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Wax them.
I mean, you heard this man's intro. I'm not going to lie to you, Mike. When we heard your intro, I have an instant man crush on you now. You are ridiculous, man. Oh, my goodness.
Just say it one time for me. Yo, Joe.
It's one of the things I kind of liked when you guys hit me up because the Statement Show doesn't fit any category. It's kind of like that's kind of like it describes my life. I kind of do so many things that don't really fit in any one category. So I'm like, man, this is the will of Allah.
All right.
Yeah, when you look at your bio and you have like 5,000 different things that you're doing, it's probably true you don't fit into one category because author, combat veteran, a billion TV show, et cetera, et cetera. Oh my goodness, man, you have 1,000 different things that you got going on, man. That's amazing.
It wasn't ever a plan, guys. I would like to say I was that smart, but I'm not. It's just one of those things where I like learning, and I kept getting opportunities and looking for opportunities. And when they presented, I jumped on it and was able to make it through different things. And it's like, wow, man, now that I'm old and crusty and wearing diapers, have my little walker. It's like, man, I did some things,
Yeah. Well, I'm glad that you brought that up because for our audience who may not be exactly 100% familiar with you, tell us a little bit about yourself. How, actually before you became the certifiable badass that you are right now.
Before the silver hair. Yeah.
Yeah. yeah. I dig it, man. I love it. Gandalf the White. So, yeah, I mean, long story short, I was just, a punk kid like a lot of us when we were little. And, we were pretty poor and, we ended up getting in some gang stuff because, those were the only kids that would hang around me. I was a chess club guy, but also honor roll student, but also leader of a gang and, got shot and stabbed before I ever joined the Army and got some friends, went to jail for murder and got murdered and figured, man, I got to get educated, get out of this. And So the Army was the only way. I joined the Army and they just kept offering me stuff. And I was like, okay, I'll try. And before you know it, I had done, Special Forces medic, communications, intelligence, multiple languages, 9/11 came around, did all the officer stuff and did that. So I started in 82, retired in 2011, had a whole bunch of jobs in the military, did a whole bunch of conflicts, some as a contractor like Iraq and Azerbaijan, Sierra Leone, Colombia, Haiti, then did, some tours in El Salvador, Turkey, Afghanistan as a soldier. So ended up just kind of getting a lot of stuff done. And I've always wanted to learn and I love teaching. So the more I learn, the more I get to teach and just keep, passing the knowledge on this. One day I'm going to be pushing up daisies. And if I could leave a couple people behind a little better off, then I consider my time and life well spent.
Very true. Hey, but let me back that up to the very beginning real quick. Chess club?
That's one hell of a tough gang.
Hold on. You were in a chess club and a gang at the same time? Or was this or did you start a gang because you were in the chess club?
And to be clear, the chess club wasn't the gang, right? Because that's
no, they didn't get their ass whooped. No, it's just one of those things because I can't claim any credit for it. I mean, it came from my parents, but I guess I was got a little bit of smarts. And so, I was a straight A student. I used to write. I actually won awards for the whole school for writing, and teachers had asked me to go to the lower grades and read stories I wrote. But also because we were poor, man. I mean, dude, I had one pair of pants I washed in the shower at night and hoped they were dry by morning to wear the next day. So the jock kids wouldn't hang out with me. The preppy kids wouldn't hang out with me. The only people that hang out with me were the dope smokers, and I didn't smoke dope. So I just hung out with them because they, when you're a kid, you just want to be accepted. So I grew my hair long. Like, believe it or not, I actually had hair down to my ass. I was 14, And I just saw these guys smoking dope, and I'm going to go ahead and confess it right now because I think the statute of limitations is over. But I organized and said, dude, if you're going to sell it, let's do it with some panache. So we started buying like American flag and dollar bill rolling paper and rolling machines so they get a little bit more for their dollar when they were buying their doobie. And before you know it, we cornered the market on sales, and we were able to actually start like buying clothes and stuff. And so, yeah, I was a gang leader and a chess club guy. Weird, huh?
Yeah, it's not the combo I would have put on it.
Although, check this out. This is fun. This is all true story. So I got in trouble one time and got sent to the principal's office. And I told my friends to make a diversion, and they did. So the principal had to leave, and I got to read his little files. And I read the file on the alarm system for the school. And so I devised this plan where basically we can climb up on top of the roof with ropes, no kidding, take tools and take the sky roof off, and then held down into the school. And then if we walked along the hallways, because it was a sonar alarm, the alarms would not go off. It had 18-inch clearance on each side of the wall, but if you walked in the middle of the hallway, it would set off the sonar. So we just walked around the halls, robbed all the candy machines and all the other stuff, and we scored big time. And it was all, when I look back, it's like, man, that was like a proper commando operation.
Oh my God.
You're right. Yeah, you're exactly. You were doing special ops before you even knew it. Yeah.
So now that I'm old and I retired, and I'm like looking at these sergeant majors, and I'm like, son, you even old enough to be serving? And they're like, sir, I've been in for years. I'm like, oh, right. So I just realized that, now that I look back, I kind of have always been what I became. This just gave me better training at it.
When you got in the military, is this something that you decide to go for, or do they pick you out of a group?
It's a little bit of both, fellas. It's a little bit of both. Okay. So like I said, I just wanted to get money for college. So I joined the Army as a radio operator. But I got a couple of different skills in radios. I went to jump school. I made my sergeant early. And so Special Forces came recruiting me. I didn't know a damn thing about them. I was like, what are those guys? So I read a couple of books, and they changed my life. I said, man, this is who I want to be. This is what I want to become. And so I said, yeah, I'll sign up. And I gave it a try. And, out of 63 guys, only 3 guys made it on the first pass. And to my right was this perfect specimen of a human. I mean, he'd never break a sweat while running 100 miles an hour, just smiling. Mm-hmm. And the other guy was the most ugly guy in the world. It's like, I don't even know what happened to him. And there I was in the middle of these 2 guys. And I guess that represented the full spectrum of what Special Forces is compared to all the other guys. It's like there's no mold. It's a heart and mind thing. Mm-hmm. And so that began my journey, guys. And after that, they just kept offering me stuff, and I kept taking it.
Now, is this after 9/11 or pre 9/11?
Oh no, man! You're talking 1982, fellas.
Wow. See, you didn't look that old.
That's what I say, man. And off the white, So yeah, no. I went back in when 9/11 happened, guys. I was 35 years old. A single father. I had 2 teenage sons. I was working for ABC as a producer, living in LA, making fat daddy coin. They gave me my own office that, and they gave me my own manservant. They put whatever I want for furniture and food in the fridge. It was pretty crazy. And I had, I had the choice to, if you got a producer card in LA, you don't even have to talk, man. The girls will just throw your panties at you. Their panties at you. So, I had 2 boys, so I spent my weekends going out camping with them, and that was my choice. And so, yeah, I was living pretty large when 9/11 happened. I went, got mobilized, and then they sent me to every damn officer course in the world. No kidding. I went to everything I needed all the way up to like lieutenant colonel level, because basically they were trying to flunk me out. So I wasn't Ranger qualified. I was a medical officer. I was a National Guard officer, and I was gray-haired, and they hated my guts. And I just kept getting honor grad on everything. So finally they said, okay, we'll let you go to war. And they finally kicked some butt and then came on. So I did all the officer stuff as an old crusty guy, 35 years old.
I know, obviously I know you. I've came familiar with your personality when I was watching Discovery Channel and your TV show, which I'm going to be honest with you, after your show stopped airing, I lost a lot of interest in some of them, because they all kind of run their course, but yours is the only one that held an interest, and it was cool to watch because I could watch it with my wife because there was an aspect there for her.
Yeah, well, and that was a big thing, So I created that show, guys, and I created One Man Army, and I created Naked and Afraid and a few other things. So
you created Naked and Afraid?
You really? Did you really?
Yes. That's a long story that's going to be public before too long. But the company that made Man, Woman, Wild and One Man Army took those from me, as well as Discovery. And then they took that show because I wanted to take people out naked and show that we as humans, the weakest physical animal out there, with just our 6 inches of mush between our ears, could go out and dominate the terrain. And so when I left them because of principles, because they were dirty liars and thieves, they decided to take it and mix it with the cute girls, because half of those kids are not survival people. They just want to be on TV people. Mm-hmm. And so they just, guys are always going to watch naked, chicks. So
of course.
You got to hit right there. And you get some survival on top of it, or just watch people suffer because they don't know survival. It's a win all the way around. Anyway, the thing about the Man, Woman, Wild that resonated was, everybody's got a significant other. I don't care if you're old, young, smart, stupid, rich, poor, gay, straight. Everybody's got somebody else to care about. So it all comes down to how would it roll if you got stuck in a pinch with that person that you care the most about. And I think that's what resonated with pretty much everybody. And it was the real deal. I mean, how Ruth and I are out in the bush, that's how we are at Fort Living Room, too.
Okay.
Well, even with that show, I'm going to be honest with you, and maybe you feel completely different about this than I do, but the one thing with Man, Woman, Wild was your wife seems like a complete badass just like you. But when I first started watching it, I got the feeling like they were sort of, I don't know, like making her seem, they made her seem like she didn't know anything. I mean, was that true?
If my wife were here right now, she would say she loves you. Because they absolutely asked her to act like that so that they could make her look weak and then build her up over the series.
Really?
And it was so bad that her own mother and father, who's what they call him, a headmaster, a principal and a teacher in the UK, her own parents were embarrassed because that was not their daughter. She is very tough. I mean, I always say, strong man marries a strong woman. And so, Ruth was very hurt about how they asked her to act and how they cut out a lot of really cool, tough, badass shit she did and edited it exactly as you said to make her look weak. So we felt that was pretty unfair and unjust of them. But, at the end of the day, network tells you what they're going to edit and do, and you can't stop.
And I have to ask, because my daughter pressured me to ask this question. I'm curious, too. There was a spot on one of the what's that?
The answer is, if she pressured you, say the answer is no.
Well,
go ahead.
No, it was the spot where your wife was dehydrated, the one episode, and it looked like they were going to pull her out because she was getting sick. And even my wife was telling me, it's like, why would they keep going if she's that bad?
Well, no, listen, fellas, there's a story there. And so you guys are just nailing all the good stuff. So I'm going to tell people what you do in your day job, see? So the real deal is this, okay? That was the very first Man, Woman, Wild episode we made. And those guys are so used to shitting on talent, they just couldn't get their head around the fact that, hey, guys, I'm a real Green Beret combat veteran officer and survival instructor long before you guys ever came to the picture. But they didn't believe me. I said, look, guys, if we're going to film in the desert, we need to film during full moon. So we got good illumination because we can't work in the daytime. You can only work at night and you can only work at dawn and dusk. And they said, oh, no, it's not possible. Can't be done. So they forced us to work in the middle of the day against our wishes. And, no kidding. I mean, I had that first round of urine. I had to go. I'm like, I'm not going to waste it. It took me forever to carve that little bowl out, peed in the thing. And shockingly, it actually did taste good. But we drank it. Now, that is not what got Ruth sick. Ruth started to go into heat stroke because they were making us stand on mountaintops and get all this what they call B-roll footage, the background and our feet walking and all that. And so they ran us to the ground. It was not what I would have done if I were trying to survive. I was making a TV show for them. It was my first episode working with them. So long story short, Ruth went into heat stroke and she started to crash and burn, and they were not going to send in the medic. And so I grabbed the cameraman by the throat, looked down the camera because they were like off in the distance watching on a little remote viewer. And I said, if my wife does not leave this desert, I promise you, none of you will. So send the fucking medic now. That's when they broke all tradition and they sent the medic in. And the medic is a Green Beret, Special Forces medic, paramedic. He's a good brother of mine. He's a sergeant major, airborne ranger, Halo, scuba, everything guy. And he brought her back around. But since that day, her hypothalamus has been recalibrated. So now she goes into heat stroke very easily ever since that. So they damaged her permanently by not listening to their expert. And subsequently, after that, they started paying more attention.
Why do you think that they didn't want to listen? Did they feel like threatened by you, or did they just have that mentality of like, I know and you don't? I mean, how would they possibly?
Well, remember, they do reality TV, and the name of the company is Renegade 83. And it's Jay Renfro and Dave, I'll think of his name in just a darn stinking second. But anyway, Garfinkel. And those two guys, in my opinion, are spoiled little rich LA guys. And one of them, he's an older guy, like 50 years old, lives with his mama, never been married, no kids. And the other guy's got, a nice Mexican wife and kids. And basically, they only made trash TV until I came along, in my opinion. Trash TV. The bad dating shows with D-list celebrities.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding. And the biggest claim to fame before I came along was one guy was a cameraman for Lifestyles of Rich and Famous. Their opinion was they were producers and we were just reality fodder for them to tell us what to do. And it wasn't until the reality of the situation hit them. I was like, guys, this type of show is teaching life and death, potentially life and death saving techniques. And it comes with a life and death risk factor when you do them. So they finally started paying attention, but they never quite got it. I mean, they're both city boys. I don't think they ever even went camping, so that's why they act.
Well, I mean, that seems like that would really have to piss you off, though, knowing that you wanted to get into this show and really teach people how to do things and show them exactly what's going on. And then you have these other guys sitting around telling you, no, we're not going to film this way. We're not going to we're not going to do it that way. I couldn't imagine that you just wouldn't have finally just, like you said, wanted to choke somebody to death. I mean,
there's pros and cons to that. Because in some ways I was still new-ish to TV, particularly in terms of making an entire season with a story arc. So I was trying to acquiesce as much as I could and accept that, okay, there's things I don't know. Let me sit back and watch and learn. I mean, that's a Green Beret thing. It's like, we're jack of all trades, master of none. We realize when we don't know something, we got to learn. So, but yeah, it was a constant battle with those guys because, I said, look, I am a real Green Beret guy. Whatever I say, it has to resonate as true, both for my community and for my country. I mean, I hold myself by my own choice to that standard. So it's like, I get that you got to do storytelling. I get you got to entertain. And it can't just be like a documentary instructional sort of thing. But at the end of the day, it's like I have to teach sound principles. So when they'd ask me to do Bear Grylls type stuff, like do backflips off of cliffs, in known waters, it's like, pound sand, buddy. And so they really, really, really didn't like that. But they couldn't get it in their head. It's like, guys, I didn't set out to be on TV. I really don't give a shit about TV. It's just another way for me to teach. So I enjoy that. But outside of that, I will never violate a principle for you guys, and I'm going to stick to that to my dying day. And so here we are.
I was going to ask you, some of these other shows that are out there, it's like they're copycat one right after another. Like it's put in some cookie form. And you got Dual Survivor, you got Bear Grylls, all those types of shows. I like Bear Grylls, but there was this big incident where they said, well, he slept in a hotel at night on certain days or situations. And to be honest with you, I didn't really care. I thought he was entertaining. I kind of liked him. But he did a documentary about the Foreign Legion that I really liked more so than any of the Discovery stuff.
Right. Well, see, here's the thing, guys. Like, believe it or not, when I hear people talk, it's funny to me because I actually know everybody, and I don't really like people and don't really want to know anyone. So it's kind of so. Bear was it's an interesting. We'll talk on him. We'll talk on Dual Survival. I mean, unless you guys got like a time hack, I'll just
hell no.
You go ahead, man. Go ahead.
So Bear Grylls. A lot of people don't realize his father was a very wealthy man, and he went to a very privileged school. So the man who made Back to the Legion, which is where Bear got started, was a friend of Bear's father. Bear got on the show, which is fine, and he did great, which is fine. I mean, Bear actually did join the SAS, what they call territorials, which is our equivalent of like a National Guard militia, okay? But the difference is for the U.S. Army Special Forces, our National Guard soldiers have to do all the active duty schools. There's no National Guard school. It's active duty school to earn the beret. They got to do all the active duty requirements as far as physical fitness, number of jumps per year, number of exams per year, retest, and all those kinds of things. So the standards are the exact same. In the UK, the SAS territorials have a completely separate selection training program than the full-time guys. Mm-hmm. So a lot of the full-time guys took real umbrage against Bear for claiming SAS when, in a loosest term, yes, okay. But also Bear wasn't a combat vet and he wasn't a survival expert. But what he did do, he broke his back in a jump in Africa. He did recover. He did go on and climb Mount Everest. So, he's got an honest story of being strong-willed and physically capable. So when he did well on Back to Legion, I mean, he was okay, great. He had earned his spurs, and so he got the show doing the Survivor thing. Well, all of that stuff was scripted. All of that stuff had survival experts. They asked him to do crazy stunts. And Bear, being an athlete and adventure guy, he was very malleable. He would do what they'd say. He was amiable. So he came across as the perfect combo to be friendly enough for people to want to watch, have enough of a pedigree to be credentialed to do the thing. And the biggest thing was he would do what the producers asked. And so that made for a good show. That show is all about movement. It's all about eating gross shit and doing dangerous stuff. Okay. And it's a formula. And so I give credit to Bear because he's kind of the one who kicked down the door for mainstream. Because as you had pointed out, and this is interesting, little history here. Reality TV, I don't know if you guys are old enough to recall, reality TV didn't really take off until the writers' strike. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Writers made a strike and we want more money. They said, screw you. We'll just get any dumbass who's willing to let us film them for free and be on TV. And before you know it, reality became its own moneymaker. Because here's the thing. There's no residuals. There's no royalties. I filmed somebody one time. I pay them $10. I get to rerun that 20 times, make $1,000 each time I rerun it. And I don't owe those guys any more money. It's a cash cow for the television industry. So when Bear did all that stuff, he opened the doors for a lot of other survival people to get in. And so I give him credit for that. Now, I'm friends with Bear and I'm friends with his friends. And I do know that, yes, indeed, they stayed in hotels and there were a lot of other things going on there. But there's some bad blood with the primary SAS guys because Bear's kind of done some things that left them hanging. So there's an issue there. But on the whole, Bear's a nice guy. I give him full credit for that and for doing, cool stuff. So when you get to who else did you guys mention? Dual Survival. Oh,
I was a fan of the original. I like Cody Lundin. I just liked his attitude, but who knows what you're really seeing? I know what he put on his website and how he had a major breakdown or disagreement with, it seemed like, the whole production company, that he didn't agree with.
No, Cody, listen, this gets back to me and my wife, okay? So the very, very first Dual Survival that they were casting, I was actually selected to be on the show with Cody. Okay. I was living in London. My book had just come out. They wanted me to, Discovery wanted to fly me. I had already done Science of Survival in 2006, and I had already done Out of the Wild Alaska, the whole series as the host in 2008. So Discovery wanted me to be the military guy to go up against Cody. So they wanted to have what they call chem test, chemistry, see how you click on camera. Sure. And so they were doing this in Colorado with, about 5 or 6 other military guys. Dave Canterbury being one of them, Rudy Reyes being another one of them. So I said, hey guys, I can't because I'm going to New York to do Good Morning America for ABC. And so they changed the whole chemistry test to be filmed in the Catskills of New York. And I went out there and I got to meet Cody and Cody's a pompous ass, don't get me wrong. And he uses a lot of big words because most survival guys, they're kind of dumb. So, but, Cody and I got on well and I smoked him. I could tell he had not been in that environment before, but I knew it, backwards and forwards. So, I smoked it and they said, yeah, you got the job. But at the same time, my wife and I had just made a sizzle, which is like a 3-minute pitch of her and I doing survival together. And Discovery said, oh, no, we'll take you with the wife. And that's when Dave got the job to be with Cody. So whereas Dave was a good survivalist, I was kind of disappointed that he felt the need to fib. But, that's a whole nother thing. But, yeah, Cody, what you see with Cody is what you get. And he did not have an issue with the network or the production. he had an issue with Joe Teti. Joe Teti was threatening to kill him, threatening to kill members of the crew and their family. Okay, This is documented. There were medics on the set that are special forces medics that work for the U.S. Embassy in Iraq right now. So they are vetted and venerated, and they've made sworn statements that yes, I heard with my own ears Joe Teti threatened to kill the crew and their families if they did not do what he demanded. And so Cody was writing the network saying, guys, he's threatening to kill me. He's threatening to kill the crew. What are you doing? Whatever crazy reason, Discovery stuck with Joe, and they edited that to make Cody look bad so they could get rid of him because they knew they had to play to the public. And that's why it looked like Cody had a problem with everybody, but it wasn't. It was Joe.
That's kind of what I was getting at. It made it, I think they were trying to make it look good for themselves and why they got rid of him. And that's the part what I was trying to get at. I like Cody Lundine's style more. I think everybody kind of liked that it looked like it had a hippie survivalist. And
well, he was. He lives it, and he's good. That's the thing. It's like, dude, I don't care what your attitude is. If you got to either be really good at what you do if you're an asshole, or if you're not very good, you better be damn nice. So Cody's very good and a bit of an ass.
But what do you think? I mean, that show it's become kind of weird. They keep changing the people on the show.
Well, about that, I give you the Hawke Daddy opinion on that. Okay, so they got Dave Canterbury, and they basically fired Dave because he made some lies. He said he was Ranger qualified and Sniper qualified, and frankly, I think him and Cody were having a little bit of an issue, so they used it as an excuse. But the thing is, Dave was a survival guy, and he was a military guy, and that's what he was hired to do and hired to be. So when Discovery decided to fire him for lies that didn't have any bearing on his skills on the show, I mean, he wasn't saying he's a Ranger or a Sniper on the show. He wasn't doing those skills. He was doing survival. A lot of people got mad. They're like, how did you fail to vet that? Because the military records are like the easiest thing in the world to vet. So what Discovery did was they hired Teti, and they failed the same exact way back to back. They didn't check any of his military records, and he lied so much more, so much bigger. And then what happened, literally, his very first minute on TV, Joe Teti lied. He said he had 20 years of special ops experience. It's like, no, you don't. You got 8 years. It's all part-time. It's no combat. You ran away from your first unit because they were trying to kick you out. You got kicked out of your second unit, and you basically quit your third unit where he met me at 9/11. Okay? So you ain't got no kind of combat, and you ain't got no kind of survival skills. He claimed he had 10 years of combat. He had 1 as a contractor, and he got fired from all 3 of those jobs. And then he said he'd been to SEER school, Special Forces equivalent of survival school. It's a survival, escape, resistance, and evasion. And it's considered a badass school. Most people, most tough guys cry in that school. You get your ass whooped in that school. You starve, and you have a lot of come to Jesus moments in that school. So it's a very respected school. And I went to the school, and I've been teaching survival for 20 years. So you can imagine my shock when Joe gets on there, and his very first 60 seconds on TV is like, yeah, all special forces are required to go to SEER school. And I'm like, dude, you didn't, liar. And
I actually remember the very first beginning of that part of the show, because there was a lot of, if I'm wrong, correct me, but wasn't there a lot of talk of, well, a lot of my work was classified, so I can't really talk about it, that kind of stuff.
He tried that one on for good measure. Yeah, we'll go down this rabbit hole as far as you guys want. Okay, so check it out. So his first minute on TV, he's lying about his years of experience in special ops, about his years of combat, and about his survival experience, which this is a survival show. And so within 3 weeks of that show airing, 3 men died making another show for Joe Teti called Lone Operator, named after his current business, where Joe was the host, the expert, and the producer of the show, because he pitched it. It was his idea. And Discovery gave him that show based on his claims that he had 20 years in special ops and 10 years of combat. And it was 8 bad years in special ops, no combat, 1 year as a contractor, fired from all 3. So it's like, guys, so the bottom line is my hypothesis, if you will, is that Discovery failed back to back after Canterbury to vet Joe Teti, thought they were getting a 2-for-1 with a survival guy and a combat veteran, and actually they got neither. And so his survival teachings were, in my opinion, all blowed up. And he got people killed in his first 3 weeks on air, and they had to bury that because They spent $5 million making that first season of Dual Survival with Joe. They already had $50 million of ad sale revenues committed. And if the word got out that Joe was involved in a show with 3 deaths, they would have had to pull that whole season and lose $50 million, which, by the way, they ended up about a year and a half later paying 4 wrongful death lawsuits to the tune, it's estimated, of about $50 million. And so now the hypothesis is that they continue to back Teti because they had to recover that money and make good stock payments for their investors. So they kept Joe despite the fact that the entire Special Forces Association kicked him out, said he was lying, and for whatever reason, Discovery Channel felt like they knew better than the real Green Berets that Joe Teti's records were valid. It's like, hey, he's given us his records. They're good to go. It's like, hello, we're accusing him of lying and forging, and you're saying he told you he was good and he gave you good records. Did you ever think to get the originals from the source? Because all you got to do is have him sign a release, and then you would see, shit, half of what he said ain't true. But anyway, so there you go. That's the deal on Joe Teti and Cody. So Cody's got a lawsuit right now for, Discovery letting Joe threaten to kill him. And frankly, I've got a lawsuit against Discovery for saying, guys, you failed. And here's my rub, okay? My rub is, beside the fact that they literally blackballed me so I can't work on TV. I mean, I've talked to the heads of CBS, ABC, Fox, had contracts in hand, and they all said, oh, we can't work with you because of what Discovery's saying. I'm like, wow, how nice is that? The Joe Teti sued me, Special Forces Sergeant Major, Special Forces Colonel, the entire Special Forces Association, and was it three other stolen valor sites, SF Posers, Military Phonies, and some other site run by a female writer. And Discovery sued Teti sued all those people, and then the Special Forces General came up and said, yep, these records he submitted are forged. Those aren't my signatures, so yep, he's a liar and a forger, and he withdrew the lawsuit. And despite all of that, Discovery renewed his contract for the 4th time. It's like, look, I've got a protective order against this guy. All this stuff is going on. You got all this collateral damage, and they still never thought to get his original records and check them out until you ever see that episode in Bolivia, the very last one that Teti did.
Be honest with you, I kind of stopped watching that show.
Me too.
This is my long way to answer your very short initial assessment what they need to talent so much, and here's why. So you just renewed Joe's contract in February of 2015, and by May of 2015, they stopped the episode in the middle. They snuck the crews out of country without letting Teti know, and immediately Discovery issued a lock the door and call the frickin' cop warning order to the North Carolina office where Teti lives if he showed up. Now, they said, Joe Teti is a hero. And I'm like, well, if he's a hero, how come you want to call the cops on him if he comes to pay you a visit? Wow. And they actually sent a picture with 3 mugshots of him left, right, and front so the security could identify him and do that. So the point here being, Joe had sued me a year prior.
First of all, why would you sue somebody if the other person has facts to back up? Like you were saying with the military record thing, they have facts.
Yeah, but my belief is that Joe is a pathological liar and that he's also a psychopath. That's my honest opinion. And so he believes what he's saying at the time. There's other stuff that I can't say because it's all, kind of privileged from deposition stuff. Sure. The point is, guys, what I'm saying is I'll say to God and anybody, and it's like, Discovery, come talk at me, please. So that said, what's going on there, and this is my opinion now, 2 things. One, I'm fighting Discovery because it's like, guys, 3 men are dead because you failed to vet someone's records that were so easy to vet. And if you had just done that, you would have seen, shit, he's lying. Let's not hire him. And if he had the experience that he claimed, he could have easily seen the problem was they put lights in the cockpit. They killed the pilot's night vision, and he did a dirt dive. And that's exactly what I said, and that's exactly what the black box said on the FAA report from the NTSB. So that said, I believe that saved some lives if they'd just done their job right. And I'm trying to get them to next time, because they sell themselves, guys. You look at their website, they say world's largest nonfiction reality network. And yet here they are selling absolute bullshit. And guess what? Now the generals come forward. Joe Teti has withdrawn his lawsuit with prejudice. So now they know that the guy forged. They know that he lied. And they're still airing his shows and making tens of millions of dollars in profit. And some might consider that stolen valor by the network, perhaps. Okay.
Hey,
So
really craps on all the TV shows I like, or did.
I know, right?
think about so what they did when they fired Joe. They brought on Grady Powell, another fellow I'm not too keen on, but experience, and I'll leave it at that. But once they got rid of Grady, they just realized, man, the only way to really cover down and kind of explain why we dropped Joe so quickly, because they just renewed a whole season, and in the middle of episode 4, they stopped the entire thing. And what's funny, if you watch that episode, this will be funny, go back and watch the episode of Joe Teti and Matt Graham in Bolivia. The ending shows a little Bolivian lady in a purple shirt up against a rock. And if you watch the same show with Joe Teti and Cody Lundin in Bolivia 2 years prior, you'll see the same lady in the same purple shirt up against the same rock.
I'm sure everybody's going to be looking that up on YouTube now.
I know, right?
God, it's awesome, man. And so for people who know the media business, you'll see that show's kind of weird because it shows a lot of just their feet walking. Well, in the business, we call that B-roll. You show feet walking to convey the sense of time passing and also to do like a scene swipe. So you show, here we are making a fire, here's feet walking, now here we are getting water. See what I mean? Mm-hmm. That's how they edit it. So they didn't have a show because they had to abandon and run away from Joe, sneak out of the country. So they had to use the B-roll and the old footage from the Cody episode to wrap up that thing so they could deliver an episode. So it's pretty funny. So they just started swapping out, and then they just realized we've lost it. Some sponsor had hired 36 episodes in advance, so they just needed to deliver on their contract, make their money, and move out. So that's why it was just another cover. Their guy, French Horowitz, who hired Teti, got fired after he fired Cody, and then the guy who got on Christo Doyle, he also does Gold Rush. He got on his Discovery Facebook page and said, yeah, we had to let Joe and Matt go because they both just got extremely fatigued at the same exact time. I'm like, buy-in, dog. And now all of a sudden he's out of a job too. So it's funny how all that works. But there you go. That's your little soap opera drama for the behind the scenes of the network stuff.
Oh, my God. I got to ask then one other person. I want to know what you think. Les Stroud, the Survivor man.
Yep.
Love Les. Now, here's my opinion, okay? I've done a lot of survivaling, and I'm here to tell you, you don't walk up to the top of a mountain, place a camera up there, walk down the mountain, walk a long shot in the distance, then walk back up that mountain and walk back down that mountain just off of eating one grasshopper and one piece of okay? So it would suggest there might be some supplementing going on to offset the camera work. However, what I do love about him is he's another guy like myself, like Cody. He lives it. He believes it. He does it. He knows it. He's good at it. It's a way of life for him. And I think he's basically a good person. And those are like the credentials that I look for. Do you got the skills? And are you, because when you're on the TV, people look up to you like that. So it's just like in the old days when, you used to have an athlete. We used to select our athletes based on being good role models. Now they're like ghetto thugs with tattoos and everything because they make millions of dollars. They don't care about their role model status. People just want to make the money and be the idol. So what I love about Les is that he's real. He's sincere. He's authentic. Now, his survival style is a lot different than mine because I'm going to club some shit on the head and eat it. Okay. And he's going to be like, oh, this nice little rabbit. Let's try to eat some leaves and let it live. And I'm like, that's great. But he's a Canuck, man. So, you got to appreciate that too. But I like Les. Short answer.
He did another version of his show, Les Stroud, or something with trying to find Bigfoot, the investigation of Bigfoot. Did you see that at all?
No, he took a lot of spanking on his credibility for that one.
He should have.
I like the Bigfoot stuff. I do watch that, but I'm along the lines that I'm pretty sure we would have saw something by now.
And believe me, man, I've had people approach me about doing intelligent versions of that show.
Uh-huh.
Not the dumbass thing that's been on for like 6 seasons now. Bigfoot. It's like, oh, hear that? It's like, no, dude, that's my gas. Sorry.
They have comical stuff. I used to watch a lot of the paranormal shows because I like that stuff too. But then you would have eventually after 4 or 5 seasons, one of the guys would come out and go, it started out pure. It started out what we want to do, but then the production team's like, no, you guys just aren't finding enough, so you got to go back and create some stuff, Then it started being more of that, did you hear that? Did you hear that? But nobody ever seen anything. It looked like they just added it after the fact.
And all the time. So, and that's why they call it production, fellas. Somebody is producing some reality in there.
Yeah. I'm going to tell you right now, at this day and age, to do the kind of things that you do and have access to things like YouTube. You don't need the major networks anymore. They don't play as big a role. You have people have bigger shows on YouTube that are even on the networks. And
I'm loving it.
You're right. You're right. Yeah.
It's a double-edged sword, okay? Because right now my favorite hero boy is stalking me, which makes it life a bit of a nightmare. But that's an aside. About the technology is that it is giving the power to the people. So you're absolutely right. If it's wielded properly, it makes it so that an individual can compete with that corporate conglomeration, and I love that fact.
I mean, is that something that, given the fact that, as you said, you were blackballed from basically television in general, have you ever thought about doing something like that with YouTube?
Well, you got your own YouTube channel now, right?
Because some of these guys have they get paid quite well to do some of these shows on YouTube.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. Okay. I'm one of those guys. I don't like to reinvent the wheel. Okay. So I'm looking to get out there and say, yeah, pay me and I'll do, product reviews, or I'll show some demonstrations of stuff. I'm a really crazy good idea guy, and I've got some really crazy good ideas. And so once I get clear of this fight with this behemoth Discovery that I'm fighting right now, I'm like David fighting Goliath. And believe me, it's a life sucker. It's like, guys, I am never going to quit. I'm speaking the truth. And they just don't understand. I might be a little teeny chihuahua up against a giant grizzly bear, but I will gnaw the flesh off them nibble by nibble until there's nothing but bones left. So once I'm clear of my fight, I absolutely got some really cool things that I want to make for YouTube and independent production. Yes.
Excellent.
I mean, it's a shame that your show with your wife's not anymore. I really enjoyed the dynamic. I thought it was kind of funny at times because it just had, some of the stuff your wife would say sometimes you'd have that look on your face like you'd almost shake your head, but just keep your mouth shut because it's easier. That's kind of the comedic part of it. I understand maybe they produced it that way, but I thought it was kind of...
That's what I was saying. What a lot of people don't get is Ruth and I are really married. We've been married 10 years. We've got a 10-year-old boy, Hell, our parents are coming to visit us tomorrow from the UK. How we are on the show is how we are in life. That's just who we are, So we don't get it because, whenever our friends are around, they're always laughing, and we don't get it because that's just how we are. It's kind of a love and a respect, but also, I don't want to use the word bicker, but, constant challenging of each other.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, what I kind of liked about it was, specifically, there was this one episode where you guys were in a boat and you were getting seasick, and she was telling you a couple things. Say it wasn't all about what, all these fantastic things that you can do, and you could climb this tree, you can do this, you can swim here, you can, blah blah blah. But there was that point where, wow, Mr. Hawke here is actually not invincible. He can succumb to seasickness.
Hey. All right, you. No, think on that. No, because you guys are getting like the scoop, and that's because I know what you do in your day jobs.
Right.
So, basically, one of the things, I'm a teacher, and I find the best way for people to learn is if you can show them things in a new way that makes sense. And if it makes sense, they get it right away and it sticks with them forever. So a lot of things that we did with Man, Woman, Wild had never been done before. For example, we filmed an episode in a cave, and they said, you got to get in the cave and get out of the cave before the first commercial break because people get bored. And I'm like, bullshit. I bet I can spend half an episode in a cave teaching survival things that people can use. And we did. And they were like, holy shit, that's never been done. Another thing we did was the fire episode. Man, that was crazy. We risked our life, but, we took a calculated risk. So I spoke to 3 different fire departments, the feds, the military, and the civilian guys, and we created that fire shelter, and we really did have a fire blow over top of us while we were in that shelter. And we didn't know if we were going to make it or not. But we did it. And so we did all these things that nobody said could be done, like the earthquake one. I mean, not the earth, yeah, the volcano one. Man, we went into a part of an island that was an active volcano where the guy said, look, we can't be responsible for you. If that thing blows, you got 30 seconds before you're dead. And we said, okay, we'll take the chance. And we went in there and we did it. And so the same thing back to your boat thing. They said no one's ever filmed an episode where you stayed at sea the whole time. And I said, by God, then that's what we're going to do. We're going to start in the water. We're going to end in the water, period. And so that's what we did. And we did it. Now, what I didn't know, okay, was, we had a tarp on the boat, and I'd set the tarp up, and it was great. And so we had protection from the sun, but the camera was in the boat next to us. And so as we're bobbing up and down, the guy said, look, man, it's so bright out here and so dark under there. I can't film this. You've got to take the tarp off. So in order to make the show, we had to take the tarp off. And in taking the tarp off, Hawke Daddy got cooked. So I was going down for real. I mean, literally, I was delirious. I was slurring words. I was staggering. The medic wanted to call it. Ruth wanted to call it. And I remember that dirty ass water up in the front. I knew we couldn't drink it. We didn't have anything to clean it, and couldn't boil it. So I said, "Hey, man, let's use it for that." And that's what we did. And that pulled me together enough to see it through the episode.
He makes me feel like, because I take the dog out for a walk and I go on like these little nature trails, and I come back to the house and I just feel like I'm so fucking awesome, because I climbed a few rocks.
I took my dog for a walk on our trail, and I'm thinking, woo, that was some heavy shit.
I'm badass. I know, right? I moved a stick from the trail. I'm so cool. And then you got this dude talking about all these crazy things. It makes me feel like such less of a man.
Speaking for myself, I was a Boy Scout part-time when I was a kid because everybody joined the Scouts around summertime for the camping and then quit after summer. So
start earning merit badges and stuff. Yes, you must go clean up the school grounds. No, I'll skip that.
Yeah.
Nah, I'm good.
When do we start camping again? I did a little prep here, did some background check, and I saw that you have some knives that you're promoting. And what I liked about some of the demonstrations, you really get deep in the explanation of what the features of some of these knives are. Like there was one, I'm trying to, am I saying it right? Like a paring knife or a ping knife, or it can be, you said it had the 2 holes that you can tie it into and use it as a spear, but also use it like a weapon.
Yeah, the pink fufu, a peregrine.
Yes, that one.
No, guys, listen, the cool thing is, like I said, I don't like to reinvent the wheel. So if I can't make a contribution, make something better, then I don't mess with it. So all of those things are just things that I've studied over the years. And I said, okay, if I had this and I could do that. And because of the technology, the machining that we can do these days, the laser cutting that we can do allows us to do more things than our ancestors could. So I take that knowledge and that technology and I put it to work and make it do something more. And I'm all about, we're Green Berets. We're not SEALs. Okay. Just so you know, like the Navy SEALs, when they go on a deployment, dude, they go, each guy has like his own, commercial airliner with his own stock refrigerator, his own personal gym and assistant. And they're like, go deploy and kick down some doors and come on back and take some photos. For us, they're like, guys, here's a rubber band. We're going to chuck you out of the plane over this jungle. We'll see you in 10 years, go win the war. So we're all about, getting the most out of things and making it do as many things as possible. So yeah, whenever I design something, I try to make it do as much for survivor as possible. Because dude, if you're out there and that's all you got, man, you got to get every little scrap, like inch of that thing, get some use out of it,
Sure. I've noticed, just like you brought up the whole Navy SEAL thing, I've noticed it seems like whenever somebody military comes out public with their career and somebody else, it's a real pressure point for a lot of people, because if you lie, you're pissing on other people's reputations or what they know to be the truth. And it really ticks them off.
The stolen valor a lot of people don't get is that this is like the longest war we've been in. Okay, we've been in war 16 years now. Mm-hmm. And it's the first time in history that special operations has been the primary tool for fighting it, and the combination of all this technology we've been talking about. So now we're at a unique place in human history where we're fighting these unconventional wars with a special operations tool, and we got all this media attention on it. And so now, and we got all the support from the people. So regardless of your politics, everybody supports the troops. And so at the end of the day, it's like, everybody these days is an operator, man. You grow a beard and put on a big watch, dude, you're a badass, right? So it's funny to me. If you want to be something, just go be it. And if you fail, at least you tried. And if you didn't do something, just don't say you did it. It's pretty simple. But I think a lot of people get tempted, or they think they could get away with it. And again, back to the technology, you can't say or do shit anymore without getting busted. It's like, hey guys, guess what? I can research this now. Back in the 70s, you couldn't do that.
No, you could get away. It's how everybody bloats up their resumes too, and eventually get called out. So I want to throw out there real quick, our episode will be on thestatementshow.com, Mykel Hawke's website. if I'm saying your first name right, is MykelHawke.com. Of course, you can Google him and come up with all of his sites. That's the easiest way, in my opinion, because people have spelling issues. Google fixes all that for you. But he's also on Facebook. He's on Instagram. He's on Twitter at Mykel Hawke. And, of course, he's got a YouTube channel. I mean, just Google his name. You get everything. But I just wanted to throw that out there real quick. But
I appreciate it, fellas. I'm not real big on plugging my stuff. It's like, people find it if they want it. Like you said, it's all out there for a good show. That show is all about movement. It's all about eating gross shit and doing dangerous stuff.
So from your days of being in the military, and you're looking at today's military, and I speak to a lot of people that are either reserves right now or just recently out of the military, and they say how they did their boot camps, how their style military was one way versus the way it was 20 years ago. And I'm hearing these things like, I don't know if this is true because I'm not in the know, and maybe is there truth to this? Like when they're in boot camp, like they have these little stress cards now that they're pulling that, is this true?
Yes.
Oh my Jesus.
They can't curse at them. They can't touch them anymore.
Like how the hell does a badass like yourself feel about this? I mean, are you accepting to the way things have changed now that it's a different type of military?
Well, no, guys. Because listen, here's my thing. Okay, like I don't believe that special ops guys are any better than anybody else. I've seen crappy special ops guys. I've seen amazing regular military guys. I've seen crappy military guys and amazing civilian guys. So I'm one of those people that believes that you are what you decide to be, and that's it. So I don't judge by rank or skill or score or, status or anything. So, and the other thing is, I remember when I was younger, the old timers said, yeah, you guys got it easy. We used to run, with shoes filled with cactus needles. And I'm like, oh, okay. And so the way I look at it like this, when I hear like people talking about young kids and how, they're getting soft and all, maybe so, and I said, yeah, they got their Game Boys and their Xboxes and all that kind of stuff. But I said, I dare you by God to come try and take it because they will still kick your ass as much today as they would have 50 years ago. So I have faith the next generation, while different, they also come with different skills and different solutions, and they will find a way and they will. There's always 10% that are sluggos, and there's always 10% that are the avant-garde. And so I have faith in the next generation. I don't beat them up none. Yeah, it's different, but so are the times. And I believe that the good ones will rise to the challenge, and I keep faith in that.
I appreciate my father's military service in Vietnam. I appreciate my brother's military service. I appreciate it, and it wasn't for me. I personally didn't go into the military, but my dad, my brother, and my relatives, my uncle who was also in Vietnam, they fought so we didn't have to do that.
Absolutely.
So, and I appreciate anybody who does that. And I think there's a lot put out there, and people go over and they're fighting a war in another country, and people don't think about it here because, we got it easy. We got it. We don't really think about it because it's been going on for so long. All you ever hear is how they don't want us there. They don't want us there. But I've heard plenty of people tell me that that's not the version they're hearing when they're there.
No, you're right, man. I mean, it's like this. It's like when a fella says, I love you to his lady. Sometimes you say, because, okay, I'm supposed to because I just like broke something. And, then there's times when, you just, hey, babe, I love you. And then there's sometimes like, baby, I really love you. So it's really all the intent. And sometimes you have more intent than others. But I think most people do mean it to some degree or not. Mm-hmm. The cool thing is that we're living in a time when people do appreciate it in general and openly acknowledge it. So that I think all vets appreciate that. And, some vets are, doing a little bit more than others. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, it's cool. And I always tell people, it's like, look, for me, like the people who do like regular everyday jobs, keep America doing. I mean, we're soldiers, but we're like a small percentage. We only do what we do so that the 99% can keep the world running. It's the guys who build cars and build buildings and make computers and fix people. I mean, those are the things that make countries grow. So it takes everybody, and that's the big thing. So when people say thanks for your service, I'm like, man, thanks for yours.
Well,
your trip to society, you're doing something,
Not only that, but there's something that I don't think that gets brought up enough from our vets. I know you're big into it. I know that obviously I am too, and that's the PTSD. I don't think people know enough about it. I don't think people talk enough about it. and someone like yourself who obviously has been around this, you probably know a lot of people, maybe even yourself. What is PTSD, and can you speak about that any?
Sure, man. Yeah, I mean, it's like anything. You ask somebody what's love, you're going to get a million different definitions. Ask somebody what's PTSD. To me, whatever name you give it, shell shock, combat trauma, whatever, it's really when something happens in your experience, affects you so powerfully emotionally that it causes you to do things differently than you would have otherwise. So for some people, I mean, I know every time I come back from downrange, you hear some loud noises, you're pretty, amped up and, ready to respond pretty quick. Hell, man, I think just yesterday, as a matter of fact, my son snuck up on me, almost broke his arm. It's like, dude, please. And his mom's briefed him like, don't sneak up on daddy. And I can't help it. I don't want to hurt him. But it's one of those things where, I'm an older guy, so I had a lot more preparation. I think special ops guys get a little more prep than regular guys, so they're a little bit better prepared to handle it. And so when they come back, they handle a little bit better. But I mean, it just depends on your deployment. I mean, my little brother, he's been blown up by IEDs 3 different times, twice. Guys in the vehicle with him died, got their heads ripped off, and he lived. It's one of those things that really just depends on what happens to you on your tour of duty. I've had guys die in my arms, and it stays with you. And sometimes you're better ready to handle it than others. But at the end of the day, it's a real thing. It's an emotional thing. And I've got a way of looking at it. And I've not read anything that speaks to this, so it's just my damn dumb opinion. But I believe that the really stupid people, and I don't mean to offend, but I'm not worried if I offend stupid people. But there are dumb people that think, I kill people and I'm good with it. And that's it. That's all that they think. And it's like, wow, man, you don't fully appreciate the gravity of that. You've changed lives, taking fathers and sons and, brothers. And then you've got the really smart people who I think are able to make sense of the death and the killing, that kind of find a way to navigate through it and rationalize it so they can try to, be semi-normal. And then I think most normal people, when you do stuff or you see stuff and it hurts you, it stays with you, and it just takes time. It just takes time to heal, and I think that's the biggest thing is talking about it, embracing it, accepting it, identifying it, trying to make sense of it, and then try to pack it away. It'll never go away. It's a part of your existence. It'll always be there. But, life does move on. And so that's what I try to tell guys. And a big thing is love, friends, family. That's the big thing that gets you through. Just remember why you're here, and the people that you lost. If you can live your life well, like you ever see Private Ryan, Saving Private Ryan?
Mm-hmm.
At the end, I mean, the beginning and the end, the same thing. He's just like, did I live a good life? Was I a good man? If you can do that with your life for your buddy that died for you, then you're living well for both of you. And what I do is every morning before I get up, my list gets longer every damn year. But I say the names of all the guys that died that I cared about, so they still live on every day. Wow. And I start my day like that. And that's how I keep them alive. So that's my...
It's funny you mentioned Saving Private Ryan. I was going to ask you, do you have any favorite military movies that you feel are the most accurate as far as situational? Would you say Saving Private Ryan, Band of Brothers?
Really, really good ones, man. I'll tell you.
American Sniper.
You guys know I was actually good friends with Chris Kyle.
Oh, really?
Were you really?
I believe I have the last email he ever wrote 4 hours before he was killed.
Wow. No, I did not know that.
Chris Kyle and I were getting ready to go into business together, and his wife had actually thanked me for hooking up with him because, a lot of people don't know, he got kind of done wrong by that company. The Craft was his business. And I don't know how much of this is personal, so I don't want to reveal too much. But basically, Chris was going to be the next co-host with me on Elite Tactical Unit for Outdoor Channel. And he and I became close because, we met SHOT Show, and he was telling some war stories. And I just looked him in the eye and I said, dude, that was fucked up. I said, you probably got a lot more Americans killed because of what you did. And everybody thought he was going to reach over and choke me out. And I was ready for it, but, I speak my mind. And he said, man, you're right. I needed to hear that. And so he and I started talking. Everybody said, man, he respects you. And because I told him, it's like, dude, you've got PTSD. I fucking had it when I came back from Sierra Leone. I know what it is. And you got to manage that. You got to work on that. And he said, you're right. And so that's how we began a friendship. So, yeah, So when I saw the movie American Sniper, it had a lot of different meaning for me than I think some other folks. But on the whole, I thought it was a well done rendition of a version of a story. Got to remember, whenever Hollywood gets a hold of something, guys, there's always going to be a little bit of flavor and color added.
Sure. I would like to say they have to do that, or else people won't really, like you said, documentary style movies don't do as well. They got to do a little bit of, and they say based on true facts. They're not, accuracy is not 100%, but I do like Clint Eastwood's movies. And I believe,
my God, it's gotten so good lately, man. If you're going to watch a Clint movie, he's going to break you up, man.
Okay, because he was one of my favorite actors. I liked watching. His favorite movie of mine is The Outlaw, Josie Wales, of course.
Of course, yeah, classic.
Yes, but he does a great job with his directing style, and I love great movies. Some of my favorite series are like the Bourne movies, but those are all BS, and maybe half of it, but they're entertaining to watch, and I like those movies. But military movies, I love Saving Private Ryan. I love the Band of Brothers in the Pacific, and you can never know what those people were like, but at least it gives you a glimpse of what maybe they had to go through back then. And and people don't think about that right now. So, but
well, for me, some of the movies, since you ask, that I like, because they're more along my experience, which are the unconventional movies. So, I love the big blockbusters like Pearl Harbor. I mean, come on, that's just the greatest generation right there. And so Saving Private Ryan came along with that. But then the movies that are oddball, like a lot of people don't know, Farewell to the King.
Yeah, I don't.
Okay, dude, that's a classic guerrilla warfare movie. The Man Who Would Be King, another classic guerrilla warfare movie. A really exceptional guerrilla warfare movie is actually The Last Samurai with Tom Cruise.
Oh, that's ironic. I was just going through some of the titles last night, telling my wife, because I believe that's on Netflix, and I pointed out to her, I said, that is a great movie. And she kind of looked at me like, a samurai movie with Tom Cruise? I was like, you have to watch it. It's not what you think. But
he does capture what it's like for us Green Berets. We learn the language, the custom, the culture. We live with these people. We eat like they do. We dress like they do. And we become close with them. And then we see our nation often kind of takes advantage of that. And you're the face to these people of the nation. And there's a vexation that comes with that split love and loyalty. So I thought it was a brilliant movie in that respect. And then there's other movies that, of course, Apocalypse Now.
Martin Sheen.
Secrets, check it out. You don't realize that actually in Apocalypse Now, they sent a ranger to kill Colonel Kurtz because they had sent a Green Beret. Green Beret got there, said, shit, man, what you're doing is right. And he joined his cause. So they had to get a guy that was going to follow the orders and complete the mission. And then you watch other movies like The Deer Hunter. Okay?
That's a hard movie to watch.
Well, a lot of people don't realize that those three characters define the difference between special forces, airborne, and regular troops. The guy that went crazy, Christopher Walken, he was like the airborne, or the Ranger guys, tough, but a little bit different minded. The other guy, he wasn't prepared for the craziness, so he snapped and got all depressed and just didn't know how to handle it. And of course, De Niro was the Green Beret, man. He was on it. He stayed sharp, kept clear through. And so for me, I really love that movie because that to me personifies, the difference of variation of the type of soldier. Those guys would have been great in other environments, but in that environment, that was the Green Beret environment. So those are the kind of movies I really dig.
Well, one of my other favorites is Black Hawk Down. Do you like that movie at all?
No. I don't. Okay. Well, here's why, guy. Okay. And a lot of people don't know this about me. I was in Sierra Leone during the fall of Freetown, 98, 99. So I was like the last white boy in there. And we were doing evacuation of all the people before the rebels took the town. And up until that point, the most I almost died in one day was 3 times. And in that day, I almost died 5 times. It was a pretty ridiculous day. And so what bothered me about Black Hawk Down, because I think I was in Azerbaijan when those guys were in Somalia. But what bothered me about Black Hawk Down, and I know some of the guys from that, and I'm not dissing anyone. Everybody who was there performed, honorably and very bravely. But it was the audacity as white folk to think that they were just going to land in the middle of this place in the middle of the day and that, do what they want to do. It's like, guys, you're outnumbered and they can see you and they're going to shoot you. And that's kind of, so I felt like that could have been avoided. It was just kind of a bad call, but they.
Well, wasn't it true? Wasn't it true that they did want to take heavier armament in with them, but they weren't allowed to?
Yeah, I don't know all the details, and that's not my conflict, so I kind of leave it at that. But I just know that, hey, man, I wouldn't have rolled in there like they did, and that's it. But what bothered me more about Somalia than anything was when the president decided, okay, let's just pull pitch and run away. And now, look, we've left that country in shit ever since. What we should have done was send in a large military force, crush them into the dirt, and then got them back up on their feet and said, okay, now let's start over. But as soon as they figure out, oh, man, you kill a couple Americans and they run away, well, guess what? We'll be fighting that same war over and over and over. And that's what I tell people in Iraq and Afghanistan. It's like, guys, we've got to finish the job. We've got to finish it well so that history will write us down as the good guys. If we leave it better than what it was, we will win. If we leave it messed up, we're going to keep fighting that war over and over again for the next couple of decades.
I don't want to make this into a big political show, but do you think our current president, is going to do that?
Really? Okay. All right. Listen.
I told you we're not in a big time crunch.
Okay, I'm just going to lay it down. I think Trump is a chump, and I think Hillary was a crook. There was no way I was going to vote for her after Benghazi. Okay. And I think a lot of Americans voted for Trump just because they were so against Hillary. But personally, I think the man is a fool and an idiot. Okay. But he's the president. And so I'm going to give him respect and I'm going to give him time and space. And I pray that he does well, because at the end of the day, man, we're all in the boat together. I don't care what your politics are. If the boat don't float, guess what? We all sink. So I hope he does well. I can't say that I've agreed with hardly anything I've seen so far.
I'm kind of in the opinion of what you were saying. I don't like Hillary. I didn't like her. Right. And I don't like the idea of saying, well, it's the first woman president and we have to elect a woman just for the sake of electing a woman. If you would have put anybody else up there, I think I would have liked them better. Even Sanders,
I think if it had been Bernie Sanders versus Donald Trump, I think he'd
be in that seat right now.
Right, sure.
Exactly. And here's the thing, guys. Like, I voted for a woman. I didn't vote for either one of them. Okay. Mm-hmm. And it's like, I don't care about your genitalia. I care about your politics. And last election, I voted for a black man, but it wasn't Obama. Because I don't care about your skin color. I care about your politics. Okay. Right. So I just put it out there. I didn't vote for either one of them. I don't feel real great about it, but I'm going to give faith and hope that he can do something proper.
Well, at this point, what other choice do we have? You got to back the man who calls the plays.
You just said it. You got a gun to your head. What are you going to do? Oh,
okay. There was a question when we were talking about the movies and stuff, but there's a TV show out that my wife and I watch called Alone. I don't know if you've ever watched it or not, but
of course. Yeah.
Do you like it?
I do indeed.
I do too.
Because it's proper. They get people who actually, I know the guys who train those guys and make sure that they have the skills to actually do it. Matter of fact, they're my SAS medic buddies who do that. And I know some of the guys who have prevailed on there. And I like the fact that they get legitimate people and they do legitimate stuff. And they're going out there. Here's the thing, guys. There's a camera crew coming out every single day to make sure you're alive and pick up footage that you've taken, because they don't want you to die and lose the footage, right? So, show. So it's kind of like, if I'm seeing a human being every day, I don't think it's going to bother me. This is funny. Yeah, I like this show. Somebody wrote on my page just 2 or 3 days ago. They said, oh man, I would love to see, Mike on Alone and go out there and next thing you know, everybody's tied up and Mike's got all their stuff. And I'm like, well, that's one version. I said, I would rather see it like this. I get on the show alone, and next thing you know, within a couple of months, I've got a Taj Mahal of survival, and everybody's sitting down at my table for a banquet. How about that? And they
I like that.
Dude, man, and so we're going to give it to you just because you're better.
So, like I said, you're definitely the guy I want if a zombie apocalypse goes down.
So you're saying, no doubt about it, you're winning. If you get on that show, you're winning. No doubt about it, right?
Brother, I'm there for the next 50 years,
I can see.
Wow, you really think you're around 50 more years? So
yeah, well, I'll be healthy, see.
So what what's to stop you from doing some of the things like I don't know? Do you know who Dale Dye is?
Yeah.
Have you met him?
Not met him. It was very funny. I started a medical business back in '93, working in war zones, and that was real intense. So I started a tourism business, and that's kind of where MTV Road Rules found me down in Costa Rica teaching survival to kids in 1998. And so when I first got started in the tourism business, Dale Dye called me up. He said, "Hey, man, I saw your company. I like what you're doing. I appreciate it. I just want to give you, and he told me who he was. I'm like, yeah, man, it's awesome, And so he gave me some pointers and tidbits. And so we've been on friendly terms ever since then. But Dale is a Marine. He's like me. He was a former enlisted who became an officer. But Dale hates Green Berets.
Okay.
So, but I do know Dale, and I got nothing but mad respect for him, and I really appreciate what he's done with the military and the media.
He does he kind of like, he's like the advisor for all these movies, and kind of gets them all to work together and tries to keep it as true as he can to the facts, or to the style anyway, which I kind of like. He's also in Band of Brothers.
Yeah, absolutely. No, he's an awesome guy all the way around. But here's the thing, like, he lives there. See, I can't go live in LA, man, and people are too plastic for me. So,
yeah, I agree. I don't think I could do it either. I think it's the land of smog and not the land of magic like people think it is. I know a few people that have been there and they're there now and have told me it's not what you think. So,
everybody there is an actor wannabe. So I hate to say it like this because it sounds crass, but man, basically surrounded by a bunch of liars, and they're very good at it. The illusion.
Yeah, man. So we're going to be sued by the Discovery Channel, and everybody wants to be an actor.
See, Uncle Mike.
Yeah. So
I got everybody suing me. Come on down.
Yeah, there you go. So MykelHawke.com. He's on Facebook. You can get him on Google and find out there's other websites. He's at Twitter at Mykel Hawke. And of course, we're on Facebook. We're going to like you on Facebook. So if everybody wants to find you, they can go through ours or go through our website at The Statement Show, where we're going to have links to all to your pages there as well. So everybody can find your information off of our website at thestatementshow.com. I just wanted to throw that out there real quick because you don't like to pump your own stuff. So I'm going to pump it for you.
I appreciate it. Just tell them to be sure to go to mykelhawke.com/sue me here.
There you go. There you go. I like the Facebook page, facebook.com/Hawks Hooch.
Yeah, because when I first got started in that stuff, man, I don't like social media so much, and obviously it's got me a world of shit. But the what I like about it though is I've been able to connect with friends from all over the world, that I haven't spoken to in years, and that's pretty cool. So I give them credit for that. But it's got its pros and cons. I'm sure everybody's found out about that. So, but yeah, when I first got started, it was a fan page because I didn't know what else to name it, and I was like, I don't like that fan page thing. So I changed it to Hawks Hooch. It's like, come on down here, I'll share stuff. If you dig it, hang around. If you don't, carry your ass. I don't care.
Would people be surprised if they went onto your page and went on to like make comments that it's actually you getting back to them and not some publicist?
Right.
I don't know what people think. It's like, I tell people all the time, it's like, I'm a hands-on guy. If a human being takes the time to reach out to me and say something, I feel it's respectful. It's the only right thing to do to respond back. So I try to do as much as I can myself. And I don't even mind people having a disagreeing opinion. As long as you're not an asshole, it's like, yeah, man, let's talk, Maybe I can learn something.
And, I can say this, we'll give our listeners kind of a little bit of a background here. We were in touch with you, quite a few times back and forth before our interview. Let me tell you something, guys. Every time we spoke to you, your emails were so precise, even leading up to, what was it, Zach, about 30 minutes before we got on?
Check. And I'm like,
check. It's like, I love this man. This guy is prompt. You can tell that you've got that military mentality. I love it, man. I feel bad for your son, though, because I don't think he's probably going to get away with two. Is a son, right? Or daughter? Son?
No, I got 3 boys and then
three boys.
Grandson and a granddaughter. Yeah.
You're not going to.
All I want to know is, can they
get away with anything?
Do they have to? Do they have to make it so they can bounce a quarter off the bed every morning, or?
No, if they get away with so much, because I just love them, I'm sweet on them. So, but yeah. I act mean, but they know.
No PT in the morning.
Sometimes. Be relaxed. And that's all thanks to Ruth mostly, because man, she'll tell you when she got a hold of me, I was definitely wound too tight. I was like, I just came with 2 years of combat, so okay, give me a break. But yeah, she civilized me a lot, and I'm pretty happy about everything. So
Oh, I'm sure. I think every man has a woman behind him telling him to calm down with the attitude and, try to take a fresh perspective. I get, I don't have combat or any of that, but I still get mad like anybody else. And sometimes I take it too far, and my wife would say, you need to calm down. I do the same thing. I think any man does, and that's why you need a good woman behind you. And I know I have one, and it sounds like you've got one.
I know I do. Definitely.
But the thing is, guys, it's like I tell people all the time. It's like the whole thing about relationship is balance. You find someone who's the opposite of you, who compliments you and makes you better, and that's really secret.
It's true.
You definitely got to find the balance. She makes up for areas that I don't do well in, and I watch a lot of goofy programming, and she doesn't like, but there's a lot of things we watch together, which obviously, like I told you, the show that with you and your wife was kind of a thing we watched together. That's why I'm kind of mad that it's not on anymore, but we watch that one together all the time. So
interesting tidbit, guys, because we were talking about movies, we kind of went off on that little tangent. Sure. George Clooney played a Green Beret 3 times, in films. The Men Who Stare at Goats, true story. The Peacemaker, and of course, 3 Kings. And the funny thing is, he's from Kentucky. I'm from Kentucky, and we've got a special forces unit there. 5th Group is Fort Campbell, Kentucky, and I think he must have some special forces friends, because I got to tell you guys, he nails the epitome of what Green Beret dudes are all about. I love that.
All right, so everybody give those a watch. We'll see.
Absolutely.
All right.
Okay, guys, so just keep an eye on your 6 while you're doing your day jobs. And
all right,
thanks, man. We appreciate you being on the show. Thanks a lot.
Take it easy.
Okay, you guys, take good care now.
You too, man.
What do you think, man? I mean, Mykel Hawke. And I want to say one more time, MykelHawke.com. You can go to our website at thestatementshow.com, and I'm going to have links up for his show. I'm going to tell you right now, amazing. In a million years, I never would have talked about everything. And there were still more questions I could have had. I could have talked to him for another hour. So,
Zach, I'm sitting here in my queue of questions right now with probably, this is no lie, 5 different questions that I still want to talk. I wanted to ask him, and he just entrenches you with everything, man. I love that guy. Oh my goodness, he's so good. We didn't even get into his books, his charities, the fact that he's, in judo and all the other things that he's got going on. I mean,
I'm flabbergasted. Like I said before, I appreciate his military service, just like I appreciate my brothers and I appreciate my fathers and my uncles. And
absolutely,
I'm glad there's guys out there like him. Again, like I said, all of his information will be on our website at thestatementshow.com.
Absolutely. Yeah, we'll be pumping that through our Twitter at Statement Show. Again, thestatementshow.com website, Facebook. Zach's cranking it out on Facebook, iTunes, Stitcher Radio, YouTube. Am I missing anything, Zach?
No, I think we're up there. I mean, you're really pumping it out on YouTube, so
we're trying, man.
We're trying anyway. So
absolutely.
Again, Mykel Hawke. You're listening to The Statement Show, and the lights are out.
See ya.
Yeah, I'm usually pretty clean on that kind of stuff. I just talk about, the extreme ideas, like, eating people and what the best body parts and that.
Oh, yeah.
So send the fucking medic now. I appreciate it. Just tell them to be sure to go to MykelHawke.com/sue me here. I'm just going to lay it down. I think Trump is a chump, and I think Hillary was a crook. If you got a producer card in L.A., you don't even have to talk, man. The girls will just throw your panties at you.
We're going to be sued by the Discovery Channel, and everybody wants to be an actor.
See, Uncle Mike.
Yeah. So
I got everybody suing me. Come on down.
Yeah, there you go.
Brother, I'm there for the next 50 years,
Wow, you really think you're around 50 more years?